Hello, this is Mike of Nearly Enough Dice, and this is the Kerbal Space Program. Yeah. Right, basically what I've gone and done is I've decided to go after the atmospheric scans of Kerbin, and as you can see, I've got that one, and I've got that one, and I've got that one, and I've got the whole contract. Hurrah! Returning to Kerbin, went a bit wrong. I promised this plane had wings on it when I left. Basically, I was getting bored. That's, you can see in the background there. There are the those are two of the flags that I left at the space center. And I was just kind of, I'm heading back. I mean, here I am. I'm quite a bit north. So I was going to go round and come around a little bit. And I was getting bored, so I accelerated slightly, and then my plane exploded. I mean, it was flying fine before, but obviously it was one of those things when under actual acceleration, it kind of went boom. So this is not the most graceful landing. I am so glad that I put parachutes on this thing. I mean, originally it was just, you know, something might go wrong. You never know. And well, something did. So there you go. I had another pair of parachutes. I had on either side of the kind of the center of mass was about there, when it had wings and a back end and all those good things. So I actually put two pairs of parachutes on, which is probably a good thing because two of my parachutes are over there somewhere. Yeah, coming in about 9 miles an hour. Hopefully the shock air intake and this adapter here are going to. Oh, I could have got rid of all that. Actually, no, it's probably a good thing, but that's probably keeping the weight towards the front as I used up fuel. Anyway, yeah, hopefully those are going to act as a crumple zone. I rather optimistically put out a landing gear. Yeah, so I'm about to smash into the ground and hopefully not die because Valentina and Jebediah are on board. Everything was going fine. Everything was going swimmingly. I wasn't recording it because I did it at night because I wasn't paying attention, because I never pay attention because I have problems. And so I wasn't really bothering with recording it until that happened, and I thought you might want to know why I'm landing something like that. We are slowing down slightly. Sweet. So all I lost of the air intake. Well, all I lost is the air intake and the rest of the airplane. Is any of it close enough? I can have a look. No. So we will just recover this one. See, the point of using a plane is you get most of it back if you don't crash. I don't think it actually hit. It looks like it didn't actually hit recover. So, and I've got stray bits as well to recover as well. Oh, unless the game crashes, which it just did. Right, so reloaded the game. Let's start recovering things. Not good science for that. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had an experiment on board. I did some science. Amazing 14. Got 23 grand back, which is not bad. The cockpit arranged it. The adapter made it. Winglets, gear, fuselage, structural intake, bits and bobs. All right. And so I'm just going to grab all the other bits of MK2 plane debris. Doesn't seem to be in. It might have been putting my money up or something. Where is that? Do I get to see that? Apparently I did. And we'll recover that as well. Oh, I don't get to see if that can got me anywhere. Oh, there you go. So that wasn't quite as efficient as I would have liked, but still 75. Grand's not bad. Should upgrade this at some point. Unless I've not upgraded the administration, but I've not done any strategies at all. I never know what strategies to go for, so I never do anything with them. What does that do for you? Unlimited active Kerbal, so I'm not really using that. But what is very important is, oh, I've got extra science. Oh, so I did, so I did a thing, but a couple of times. But I think all the things are 550 science, so I can't actually get them new. But more importantly, I've done a contract, which means I get new contracts to look at. That's the temperature scan one. I can't be bothered doing that. Except maybe. Do have an orbiter there. I've got a few days to think about it. That's fine. I've got a couple of days before the Duna thing, so I've got another contract I want to do, which should be relatively simple. But I'm going to do some adjustments. So actually, let's go back into there. It's going to be easy to check the requirements in here. Specific orbit of Kerbin. The thing I need to make sure is it's got an antenna of endurance, power, designated orbit, accelerometer, and a resource survey scanner. That might be a bit of a pain. I was going to send up my very small satellite launcher with just those bits on it, but the resource scanner is a great big thing. I'll go into my tracking station. You can see the orbit is very flat, and it's going the wrong way around, or it's going the opposite way to, or is it? Yeah, no. Normally orbits go this way. It's going the other way. So even if I was just using my that's a bit painful. Let's get rid of some of this. But even if I was just using my my simple rocket launcher, I'd have to redesign it because the simple rocket launcher is pointing east when it goes up. So I'd have to make a new one which points that way, so it goes that way. Because I want to go, obviously, as you can see, pretty close to exactly the opposite way around. It's interesting, actually. There you go. So I'm going to start getting rid of some of the junk. I'm very wasteful. I do leave a lot of junk just floating about, and I really should. No, I'll clean it up. That's another thing. Survey scanner. So I want to do survey scanner. That is not. Because cheap satellite launcher 3. This is extremely cheap because it doesn't have any instruments on it, right? Where are we? Yeah, okay, so unmanned probe, antenna and power, designated orbit, accelerometer, fine, resource survey scanner. Now, so I could chuck an accelerometer on, nah problem. An accelerometer is one of them. And obviously you can see, you know, the size of it compared to the satellite. Resource scanner, where's our resource scanner? Is it the survey scanner one? Have a resource survey scanner. I'm not really just going to be able to stick that on that, am I? That is not going to happen. It looks like I'm going to have to redesign a whole thing just around that.
So I do in fact begin to redesign the rocket entirely around the fact that I'm going to have to stick a scanning satellite on top of it. Well, technically speaking, it's just the resource scanner that makes the whole thing a scanning satellite. It's not the other way around. My first attempt was basically just slap the resource scanner on top of the exact same launcher and see if that was going to work. I probably should have worked out no, but you know. So that's me pointing the rocket the way, so it's going to head to the west as opposed to the east. And let's see how that goes. So far so good. Not so much. I have actually no idea why it's going in that particular direction. The best theory I've got is that it's due to the planet rotating underneath and not quite affecting the... I don't know. I have no idea why. I'm sure the rocket was balanced, but apparently not balanced enough. So I had no control at all. So I'm putting in an SAS at that point in order to get some control. And having to redo the fairings again, because every time you move the fairings you have to redo them. And then I think I also put some fins on, even though you know if you're trying to be relatively scientific about these things, you should not change more than one thing at a time, because you don't know what actually had the effect. This didn't really seem to help. I don't recall having very much extra control. It is falling in a different way, I grant you, but not in a way that's particularly helpful. So now I'm just pointing it straight up. I've got bigger fins that have more active control. I do have a lot more control at this point, which is pretty neat. And everything is fine until I stage, at which point it all goes to heck. So back to the drawing board. And it's around about this point where I kind of went, yeah, I'm just going to have to redesign the whole rocket around the fact that I've got a scanning satellite. So I'm just going to have to build an actual proper rocket. So just junking everything, yeah, all the propulsion stage, everything below the SAS unit. And just going through the various fuel tanks, deciding what I want to use. And so, upstage, relatively small, relatively simple. Dinky little engine, but dinky little engine, fair amount of delta V. Separator. I spent a long time deciding what separator I was going to use. I don't know why. It's fairly obvious which one I was going to use. And then building the actual lifting stage to get it out of the atmosphere. And just suddenly realizing that I hadn't really used. That's the Reliant, I think. And I hadn't used one of those in ages. Just so long since I used one of those. And fairings again. And round about this point, I realised that actually no, I want the fairing to be on the other side of the rocket. And then realising that I want to be on the other side of the decoupler, but you can't stop putting up fairings once you've started. So I ended up with that kind of weird mess. So there you go. That's the middle stage. Very quickly do a bottom stage. And again, use the Reliant. It's a very small rocket, which I don't tend to use. It's been ages since I used it. Some fins for stability, and I do the thing where I put them in two groups of two as opposed to one group of four, so I can individually decide whether or not they're going to be in charge of pitch and roll. But then I'm realising I don't really have enough thrust to weight ratio. I think it was just about at the stage where it probably would have gone up still, but really, it needed a bit more. So, a couple of boosters, nothing terribly exciting. And again, just going back to old stuff, is good old-fashioned radial decouplers, like the very, very early rockets that I used to do. Getting them done. Nose cones for aerodynamics and looks, and pointing them towards the aircraft so they look completely silly. So this is basically my new rocket design. Very old school in its own way. So it goes up pretty well. had a fair amount of control, which was nice. And those booster rockets just got me out of the very, very lowest atmosphere, which is pretty cool. But I don't know whether I was just flying it a bit cautiously, or was it too stable, or what, I don't know. But I ended up with a very, very, very steep profile. I went up very fast, very quickly, because I had a lot of thrust on it. So I went I went faster than the speed of sound very, very quickly, and I tend to get overly paranoid about going too fast. Now, at this point, I'm realizing that I should have waited until the Kerbal Space Center was underneath either the ascending node or the descending node, and that would have been the time to go. As it is, I've got to spend a lot of time and effort correcting my orbit. And that's leaving out the fact that I actually went north when I should have gone south. So I'm doing a lot of fiddling with maneuver nodes. At this point, I'm actually hitting the moon. Well, not hitting it, but I'm getting a moon encounter, and I was briefly thinking of using that moon encounter to... because it kind of sort of puts me in a slightly better orbit than I would have been. But I end up not going for that one. I end up essentially doing... because I've got such a ridiculously high and steep orbital trajectory, I just end up not bothering and going for a completely different thing entirely, where I just do a correction bit halfway to my apoapsis, and get up, I get something actually fairly reasonable. I get pretty close to be able to put my apoapsis near to the desired orbit periapsis, which is obviously a pretty convenient place to start your thing. So there, I believe I'm burning away. Yep. Just getting myself into some kind of vaguely correct orbit, and I'm worried at this point because it was taking a good chunk of the delta V on the craft to get to this stage, and it's all a question of would I have enough in the end to actually do all the maneuvers. And I actually found that it wasn't too bad. Once I think the big thing was getting out of the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. When you're getting into really large orbits like this, your actual velocity at the end, your actual velocity at your apoapsis is really rather low, so you don't need to change that much. So here I am fiddling around with the radial and so forth. Basically, what I want to do was get my new orbit's apoapsis to be as close as possible to the desired orbit's apoapsis, because once I've got that, once I've got to that, then I'm going to be able to get a very, very close to correct orbit. So that all works out rather nicely, as it turns out. So it's actually not cost me that much delta V to get all these orbits. So just orbital maneuvering isn't as expensive as it might be. Certainly, once you get outside of low Kerbin orbit, I mean, your velocities are sufficiently low that you're not actually adding or subtracting that much.
Yes. Gonna take that. Gonna bring up the thing. Oh, I've got the orbit. Brilliant. I just need to stay here for 10 seconds. Da 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 da. Got the contract. How many monies did I got that? I got 123,769 monies. You got some sights out of that one. There you go. Now, I wonder, can I get a polar orbit?
So now, can I get myself into a polar orbit? And the answer, somewhat to my surprise, is yes, with a fair amount of fiddling. I don't want to go too far out because I'm wary of how far out you can be and still get the polar satellite to operate. I mean, I don't have any particularly good reason for getting a survey scan of Kerbin. Literally the only reason. I mean, at this point, I've achieved my mission, and I'm not going to get any more money out of this satellite. But also at the same time, I'm not going to spend any more money on this satellite. I'm not going to get any more money back. So I might as well, if I can get a polar orbit of Kerbin, get a polar orbit of Kerbin. And it turns out I can, which is kind of neat. And then it's going to be a case of getting close enough in, or getting to the correct, orbit. The distance that you're allowed to have. I'm just adjusting there so that I can get proper sunlight. So the next question is, am I capable of getting close in enough? That's me checking the requirements without running out of fuel.
Oh, that's doable. However, right, so I'm going to put this in an alarm clock rather than anything else, so you can see, so I can see more importantly. Make sure we are pointing vaguely sunwards. I can Right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'll be doing the Duna orbiter in about. So we're going to do that next. Is what we're going to do. Yeah. So hope you've been enjoying all this. Hope I'm going to be able to make this into some kind of coherent episode because lots of stuff happened and had crashes and things, but. Hope you're enjoying the episode. Please hit like and subscribe if so. Find Nearly Enough Dice at nearlyenoughdice.com. There's a link down in the description, and we're also on Twitter and Facebook. And until next time, reach the stars.